There's one thing I want you to do for me.
What?
Come here.
What?
Win. Win.
What are we waiting for? Take this!
What is going on, EOP sports fans? It is Wednesday night. It's 8:30. It's time for EOP. I'm Big Al.
And I'm Joey Shearer.
And the boys are going to the Super Bowl, Joe. That's right. The Philadelphia Eagles are heading to Arizona.
Glendale, Arizona.
Glendale, to be exact. And to take on the Andy Reid-led Kansas City Chiefs.
How about it?
Storyline after storyline after storyline. The NFL couldn't write this better themselves. Hell, some of the 49ers thought they did. We'll get into that tonight as we go along. But, Joe, I mean, is it weird that I don't want to say expected this, but I think last time, maybe because it was the first one, and you always felt ready for the shoe to drop after Carson Wentz goes down and, Jason Peters goes down and Darren Sproles goes down. Everybody's going down. You're like, how can you win this? And they go and they do this miracle movie-esque type win in 2017. Then you kind of have this decline going into the whole Carson Wentz story. You have in 2020 just the most miserable year from the pandemic to the Eagles Eagles season. 2021 some hope at the end, but nothing to make you go, oh, Super Bowl next year. You know what I mean? But they did it, Joe. I mean, they did it, and they did it in style. They didn't stop. They bulldozed their way through the NFL. Like, I mean, that's the thing I feel like people are missing. Like, they are not getting that they stomped on the throats for the most part of the NFL. There are some games we thought every team's going to have up and down games.
Sure.
I mean, we were still the best record in the NFL. Teams lose games that they shouldn't lose. I mean, we go back to that Washington game. We should have never lost. That was our fault. They kind of exposed one of our weaknesses. We figured it out. They fixed it. You know, we thought we were going to lose to the Colts. Everybody thought we were going to lose to the Colts somehow because they were Jeff Saturday is going to give this resurgence. Boo. Okay.
That's a tight game. I'll give them that.
Yeah, it was a tight game, but it was just they were getting their feet back, and they noticed there were still some things they had to fix. And as a guy who sat here and pounded his chest, so it's probably still bruised from to fire Howie Roseman because I was feeling, and I still feel at that time I was right, but he has completely redeemed himself, and when he has done and turned this organization around in 1 year and has done a great. I mean, again. Me and you have both agreed since it happened. The Hassan Reddick pickup was not celebrated enough.
Might be Howie Roseman's greatest free agent signing of all time.
It is at the same time, but can you make argument? I mean, I think it's because how long you have him for and the price you have him at. But
steal.
But then Bradbury, you pick him up because the Giants just couldn't afford to keep him. And then C.J. Gardner-Johnson, you literally steal him from the New Orleans Saints, who are also giving us a top 10 pick. Like, it gets better and better as we talk about it. But
they actually recouped some picks.
Yep.
With the whole Sean Payton stuff. But I mean, listen, to go back to the man you're talking about, Hassan Reddick, and the absolute snub of him not being the defensive player of the year for whatever reason they give it to Nick Bosa. He did not have better stats. You can see clearly on the field who the better player was.
Came up small last couple of weeks. If you look,
Bosa hasn't done anything or didn't do anything in the playoffs at all.
And Joey Bosa,
he's a crybaby little butt pirate. I mean,
he got away with a little something. I feel like nowadays you don't get away with anymore.
Well, number one, as a Philadelphia sports fan, and you're yelling at these guys, you get under their skin once they start saying, well, I'm rich and you're broke and I can afford this and I can afford that. And then one guy behind the camera is like, so can I. I got money. Like, blah, blah, blah. Like, your job is accomplished once you get under the skin of that player.
Yeah.
Who's not playing in the game. Who's there to support
his brother. Yeah, his brother. He's like, I mean.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing.
But, I mean, it's And I want to kind of break some of this down with everybody. Hey, Dibes is joining us from Crackpot Media. Quentin, always chiming in. It's always good to hear from you, bud. I want to go through this. By the way, I have lost total respect for the 49ers after this game. I mean, me and you were both in the stands. We saw guys getting kicked out. We've seen them just, I mean, listen, tempers flare. If you get frustrated when you work so hard and your quarterback just can't play, and I mean, you know that. We all figured it out pretty quickly. So that means the Eagles figured it out pretty quickly.
Yeah.
They can't throw the ball.
Can't throw.
So I mean,
I will say this. And when you're talking about the San Francisco 49ers fans, me and my wife walked into our row, got to our seats, and as I'm walking to our seat, I look and there is a 49ers fan standing there, and I know we're going to be next to each other, and I look right at him and I start laughing. I go, "Oh, this is going to be fun."
Yeah.
He laughed. We had the greatest time. Like not all 49ers fans are giant a-holes. Like this guy could not have been nicer. And we both kind of we're like, "Hey, listen, regardless of how this turns out, no hard feelings. Let's just have some fun. The S talking will be there. We'll drink some beers and we'll watch our teams." And that's exactly how it played out. He was the nicest guy. He was actually from New York.
I was going to say, ask you, was he actually from? Because here's my thing: is could you imagine flying out? You know how much it would cost you to come to that game?
No, yeah.
You know how much it costs you to go to the game, and you live around the corner.
I know.
So could you imagine going to that game? You had to fly out from San Fran, pay all that money to stay and all that, to watch your team fall the way they fell. Yeah, no,
this guy was great though. So big kudos. I really wish I remember his name. There was some some flowage going, so I definitely forget it.
But so I want to kind of break this down a little bit with you because
the Eagles are going to the Super Bowl.
Eagles fans are notorious at times. They get a little ahead of themselves, and we feel like the world is against us. But the fact that you have anonymous 49ers players saying the NFL wants the Eagles to win,
I know.
All we heard about was the Niners defense, right?
Yes.
Does Brock Purdy play defense?
No.
No, right. So that game could have still been closer if the defense knew what to do.
Right.
I mean, all I hear is Kyle Shanahan is a offensive genius, one of the best up-and-coming coaches, if not the best, next to, of course, Andy Reid and Bill Belichick, right?
Of course.
Here's a guy who's also let the biggest Super Bowl deficit up, who keeps dribbling at the finish line, who, give him credit, he took a third-string quarterback and got himself to an NFC Championship game, but put a third-string tight end on Hassan freaking Reddick. What offensive genius thought that one up?
Certainly not.
And I don't want to hear was the OC coordinator. We all know how that works. This was like Doug Peterson type thing. There is no OC coordinator.
Right.
It's Kyle freaking Shanahan. Okay. All I want to say is we heard that the Eagles have had a really easy lane to the Super Bowl, pretty much paved the way for them. I want to just remind you guys something. All I've been hearing since we lost to Washington and then beat the Colts is wait till we play the Titans, Joe. Wait till the Eagles beat the Tennessee Titans. And what do we do to them, Joe?
Decimate them.
Decimate. Good word. I like that word. Beautiful word. It's a delicious word. Decimate. They decimate them. And then we heard, well, they're not playing any good teams until maybe they go to the playoffs and they play the 49ers. Okay? They play the Giants. That's not easy. Why, Joe, do teams go for the first overall the number one seed? Why? What advantage do you get getting that number one overall seed?
You get a first-round bye.
First round bye.
You get home field advantage.
Home field advantage. And you get to pay the weaker of the competition. So I don't want to hear that shit. I am just so annoyed. Where Jar putting the money in there. Okay. I don't want to hear. I'm tired. And not on top of it, did they not just do that? But they had to beat a divisional opponent. I don't care how good or bad they are, 3 times in a year. Who does that? Nobody. But the Philadelphia Eagles did this year. This year has a lot of history that will be remembered for years beyond years here, okay? Maybe when we're long and gone and our kids are our age and we're old, maybe 6 feet under, they'll still talk about this Eagles, okay? There is things that will happen.
Super Bowl, this is the best season in franchise history.
And then the monster known as the defense of the San Francisco 49ers.
Yeah.
Where were they?
They might have been still back in San Francisco for all I know.
They might have showed up to Citizens Bank Park because they were not at the link. They might be still sitting there going, "Hey, what time's the game start, guys?" Because they weren't there. And that's what I'm tired of. I am just so tired of hearing how easy this was. Listen, you get the NFC overall wasn't that great.
Right.
It was very, I mean, NFL
I
overall.
think NFL overall.
Yeah, it's not like there's this discrepancy between any teams. But I can say without a shadow of doubt, even 2017, I couldn't say this. 2004, I could probably find people, other teams that maybe, but this team, this Philadelphia Eagles is the best team overall in the NFL. Not just because they're the number one
100%.
seed, not because they're going to the Super Bowl. Because sometimes the best team doesn't go to the Super Bowl. Because sometimes they let their guard down. Maybe another team's smart enough to work around. Things happen.
Bills
They
aren't
are,
in it.
yeah.
Bengals aren't in it.
They are the best team in the NFL. And I've never been able to really say that without a shadow of a doubt. There is no doubt in my mind they are the best team in the NFL in this 2022 season. Prove me wrong.
You are feeling good, my
I
friend.
am. Dude, we sat there. Remember we talked about when they won the game against the Giants and we had the first round bye. We felt like it was an eternity.
Oh yeah,
Joe, tomorrow's Thursday.
I know.
There's still another 10 days. I don't know, Joe. I don't know if I'll make it. Like, it's bad.
Well, I mean, we have the Pro Bowl to skip.
Yeah,
Actually, I'll probably watch it this year because I do really like the skills challenges. But the flag football stuff, like, who cares? I understand Peyton and Eli are like the captains or coaches or whatever it is.
Mhm.
Don't care. Skills challenge, I'll watch. It's funny. I was watching
It's
New
flag
Heights.
football. Yeah. Right, yeah,
I was watching New Heights today, the most anticipated Kelsey show
Yeah, I haven't watched
of
it
their
yet.
of their 25 so far. And Jason Kelsey just flat out says, "Oh, the Pro Bowl sucks." I was like, "Wow, I don't know if you're allowed to say that about your own product."
The only reason they like the Pro, well, it's going to retire. What are they going to do? I mean, if he was a nobody scrub, yeah, maybe then.
Right.
But I mean, they only want it because they get the paycheck. They get an extra paycheck,
Oh,
the
yeah,
bonus check, whatever you want to
Yeah.
call it. But yeah, you know what, Joe? You could talk firsthand about these guys. Sherry'sTickets.com. We're not, it's like that hair club for men. Not just the president, but I'm a member. Yeah, we're not just an advertiser. We use Sherry's Tickets daily. I've used them a bunch. You've used them.
I just used them for the NFC Championship game. No lie.
And Joe, you looked at everything. And I know you.
Oh,
Joe
I
does his
researched.
homework. Joe will, when it comes to tickets, especially, I guarantee Joe like a beautiful mind type segment at his house with a dry erase board with all the lines connecting together, trying to figure out what is the best deal he can get. And he found it. Where'd you find it at, Joe?
Sherry'sTickets.com.
Sherry'sTickets.com. EOP10 saves you 10% on top of an already great price. EOP10 sports, concerts. Phillies are coming up. You can check that out. But there's some big concerts coming. I know a couple of the big ones that are coming, like Pink open up another day.
That's right.
So, like, it's not just for sports, guys. You're thinking something for your wife. You're thinking something for your husband, your friend, your kids.
Phillies opening day. It is sold out.
Sold
you know where you can get
out.
tickets? Yeah, tell them where you can get tickets.
I believe Sherry'sTickets.com is a great place to go, and you can save 10% on it. And like I said, sports, concerts, theaters, the price you see is the price you get. There is no hidden fees. Joe, we've seen the hidden fees before.
Oh,
there is none here. Family owned and operated. Check it out. Sherry'sTickets.com. Don't forget David R. Cherry. If you guys get hurt at work, motor vehicle accidents, personal injury, criminal law, I believe the Niners may be calling him for the criminal bludgeoning they got at the link. But hey, whatever. It happens to the best of them. CherryInjuryLaw.com, 610-565-0300. Tell Dave Cherry that we sent you. Now, Philly Sports Trips will be out in Glendale. They'll be having their thing. It's just too late now for you guys if you want to sign up for it. I believe you can still sign up if you're going to be out there for their tailgate, which is going to be at McFadden's, which is going to be huge. Apparently, there's a lot more information coming, but it's going to be big. But here's what's left between now and May. That's right. Sold out already. Two Clearwater trips sold out. You can take the ultimate bus trip to Brooklyn to watch the Phillies take on the Yankees. You can also, I'm sorry, that's the bus trip to Brooklyn to take on the Nets, Sixers Nets. Then the other one in April, Yankee Stadium. You want to go out to the draft, go to Kansas City because go out there and really rub it into the fans. Hopefully, after Sunday night, next Sunday, I should say. You can go out there and do that. They have union trips. They're going out to Denver at the same time. They'll be out there for the Phillies. taking on the Colorado Rockies, and they're going to London and Leeds for the Union as well at the end of May. And there's plenty of stuff going over the summer, so check out phillysportstrips.com. And talk about getting ready for the Eagles' big day. No better place to get ready for the big game than the Big D, Dolan's Bar, 24 East Sellers Avenue, Ridley Park. This next Friday the 10th from 4 to 5:30. There'll be former players, including the one and only Hollis Thomas will be there. NBC 10 will be there. There'll be autographed giveaways and so much more. The more information we get, the more we will bring out to you. And don't forget, here is your lineup this week. Of course, there'll be no pre, half, or post because there's no Eagles game. The only one left that matters is next Sunday. But check out all this stuff here on the network. There's plenty to talk about. So yeah, Joe, I am fired up, and
You should be.
we should be. And like I said, the disrespect is real, and I'm okay with it because obviously we feed off of it.
Yeah.
But I want to go through how whiny the Niners are and their
the
fans.
fact that they have an anonymous player saying, "Oh, that once Brock Purdy went out, they had a call from above saying, "Oh, make sure the Eagles win this game." Or I'm paraphrasing, but that's the gist we got of it. He's out there saying, "Hey, it's rigged, it's scripted," and once Brock Purdy came and went out, that was it. The game was a wrap. Eagles won, but I don't believe it.
I don't believe it. And here's my thing is, maybe the Eagles sent themselves a memo and said, put the final nail in the damn coffin.
Yeah.
Like, that might be what the memo was. Because you're on your third. I mean, like, Niners, here's the reality of it all. If you're down to your third string quarterback coming in there, and like, that was all we heard about. This great Brock Purdy, here he comes. Like, yada, yada, yada. He's this next big story. He's your third string quarterback, my guy. That means you got to bring in somebody off the streets. So yeah, he goes down. It's gonna happen.
Let me say one thing about Brock Purdy, and I thought about this yesterday because it came down yesterday that he might need Tommy John surgery. It got announced today he does, and he's out for the year.
Yeah.
So the Niners need to go out there and they need to get a quarterback. Who knows? They could trade for Aaron Rodgers. They're not going to sit back and wait for Brock Purdy to get healthy and give him back his starting. There's a very good chance that Hassan Reddick knocked him out for the rest of his career.
Do you think they tattoo the name irrelevant on him at this point?
At this point,
yeah. I mean,
nobody wants to hurt somebody. Nobody wants to see somebody get hurt. But there's a good chance that the Eagles, Hassan Reddick, has ended the career of Brock Purdy with that one play.
100%.
First
100%.
series of the NFC Championship game.
100%. I mean, we devastated team so bad.
Dude, they're so close. They're gonna do something for a quarterback. I mean, they're gonna do something.
They have to. I mean, Lance should be able to play right.
I heard they're gonna try and trade him. Jimmy G.
Did Jimmy G just get his job back?
I think
after
so.
all this stuff to Jimmy.
I think so.
But even to the point that we own New York and we have the lit up in green.
Isn't that great?
Yeah, somebody's like, well, that's not how it happened. They said they were going to put up whoever won the NFC was the colors running up. I'm like, well.
Oh yeah, and you're right. And the Eagles did.
Yeah,
and then later on, they did it with the Chiefs color. But the bottom line is it's New York City. We just routed the Giants the week prior. I mean, the Giants fans have to be up in arms about that, right? I mean, all I saw was the post. I know they said Giants fans on Twitter like lost their S, rightfully so. I'd be like, oh my god, if that was our city, if that was City Hall lighting up blue and white, if the Giants, won the NFC Championship, I'd be beside myself.
Mm-hmm.
And New York City, the epicenter of the world.
You remember?
And they're sitting there and they're poking the finger at the Giants fans, saying, "Look, the Eagles won the NFC Championship and gone to the Super Bowl." I love it. You love it. Yeah. Sure, they don't.
Well, I mean, remember how we felt when the Mets came, the people, and they had a guy throw out the first pitch in the Mets unit, like return. Let's volley to you, my friends. Quentin's saying two things can be true. The Eagles are really good, probably the best, and they had an easy path. Quentin, I get you to a point, but let me just ask you this question. Let's play devil's advocate for a second. Let's say
is he talking regular season or playoffs?
That's a good question. I'll let him answer, but let's just talk the playoffs for a second. So they didn't play the Giants. Who else would they have played? Seahawks?
Yeah.
Would that really got your tickled fancy? Would you say it was any easier? How about if the Cowboys
or the Commanders if the Commanders made it in.
Yeah.
So
Or the Cowboys if we played them in an NFC Championship game. I mean, if that happened when it happened with the Cowboys, like if that got hurt, and like Brock Purdy got hurt, and he was out, were the Cowboys going to be able to come back? Who's the Cowboys' backup quarterback? Doesn't matter
I don't even know.
because we wouldn't.
Oh, Cooper Rush.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Suck. He's out. Done. They're done. There's like there. I don't want to hear
the Giants, the red hot Giants, the resurging Giants with the coach of the year and Brian Daboll. Like, what happened to that? Like, weren't we told, for 2 weeks that no matter, like, well, I guess it was only the week because the Giants had to play in against the Vikings, so they had the week prior to us. But didn't we hear all that week how great the Giants were playing and how they were going to come in the South Philadelphia Lincoln Financial Field and get that win over the Eagles game in the division round, get that win that counts in the season, even though the Eagles beat them twice in the regular season? Weren't we told that for a full week? And what happened? Bupkis. Absolutely nothing. And then after that, it's the 49ers, the best, the stellar, the elite, the defense, Nick Bosa, defensive player. What happened? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Now, what are they going to say this week coming up? They're going to say that the Kansas City Chiefs, their defense is going to rout us, that how many wide receivers are they down right now?
3.
What's their backfield, really? What's their defense, their secondary? What are you going to say? You have nothing.
And most likely, he will not be 100% on that end.
No, absolutely not.
So Quentin's saying KC beat Cincinnati. What comparable win do the Eagles have?
What do you think?
I wonder how a close game between two good teams. Is that what he's trying?
Why isn't the 49ers game that? Like, it's not our fault. It's not the team's fans, players. It's nobody's fault that Brock Purdy. Okay, maybe it's the San Fran. It's Shanahan's fault for putting a third string tight end on Hassan Reddick. Maybe it's his fault. Why can't our big win be against arguably the best defense in the league? And it's not Brock Purdy's offense that was said to beat the Eagles. It was their defense, and the defense did nothing. Supposedly you can't run on this team. 4 rushing touchdowns on the day. And it was widespread. It wasn't like Miles Sanders was having this big, great day. No, it was everyone in our backfield. Everybody got through the defensive line of the Niners, this big, stellar, goddamn elite defensive line. Where's the respect in that? 4 rushing touchdowns on the day. They couldn't stop us.
You know what? And you know where that game's going to be? It's going to be called February 12th. That's what the game. That's what it's going to be, Quentin. That's what I'm saying. Like, that is going to be the game.
How about the Vikings, who are arguably, fighting for the number 1 spot all season? Week 2, we snuffed them out. And
they were good then.
And they were good. Yeah. Why isn't that our big win of the season? Because people forgot about it.
Is it our fault that they couldn't? Is that our fault that they? Are you not entertained? Right. Like, can we? I feel like the Eagles should have sat in front of the Lakers for that.
Aaron Rodgers at that moment was a resurgent. They fought for almost a playoff spot. Why wasn't the Green Bay Packers a big win for us? Why? Because the Eagles get no respect. They never get respect.
And I'm okay with it.
So much.
But respect this because, like we said, Hassan Reddick, man.
I could go on and on and on. Like, it's a joke saying that the Eagles won no big games this season.
Yep.
Derrick Henry, arguably the best running. Sorry, I keep cutting you off. I know. Arguably the best running back in the game at certain moments. What did he do that day? Oh. What did our defense stuff them right down into the ground?
There's only one set of running backs that really.
And again, not a peep.
There's only one game out of 17 where the running backs were able to do anything against us. And they were obscure. It was the Washington team. Yeah. It was the only time the running backs did anything. So Hassan Reddick, we keep bringing him up. I mean, he's living the dream, Joe. But I'm going to tell you why. Not because he's going to the Super Bowl. I mean, it's part of that. We all grew up Philly fans. And playing, football for our grade schools or for our townships. And some people going on to high school and college and all that stuff. But he's getting to play for a Super Bowl for his hometown team. Could you imagine, Joe, growing up an Eagles fan and go? And the guy is humble as humble can be, and he is getting. They're doing the right things. If anybody's setting up the Eagles to win, it's the national media by just essing all over us. Like, that is literally what's going on. But I have to say, like Hassan Reddick, it's just I'm gonna gush over him. That's what I'm gonna do. Some injury news, because one injury that did happen kind of flew under, I won't say flew under the radar, but with all the excitement,
Yeah.
we didn't talk about it, happened towards the end of the game. Landon Dickerson had a hyperextended elbow, will probably be wearing a brace, but expected to play, according to Jeff McClain. Which, all right, man, suit up, gear up, you can do it.
Yeah.
Lane Johnson, he's, I mean, that man's a beast. And speaking of another beast, Jason Kelsey, man. I mean, 9 games, 342 pass blocking snaps, and 0 sacks
Isn't that
allowed
amazing?
in his playoff career. The man is a beast. Joe, and we'll play this by later, but hypothetical. Give me your percentages that he comes back next year?
I think he retires. I do.
If they win, or if they win,
I honestly think it's regardless.
it's regardless.
Yeah.
Okay. And we're going to talk about this a little bit, but like, talk about the hardest job right now is being Mrs. Kelsey.
Yeah.
We're gonna talk about that in a second, but the Eagles are going to be wearing the midnight green. Of course, we saw them putting the Super Bowl labels on the jerseys, and I love the trash talk from the team and from the players. We saw Sue after the Giants. We talked about that last
Yeah.
week. How about Fletcher Cox?
I love that.
What a great picture! I can't get enough of it. But like you said, we don't want anybody to get hurt, but Brock Purdy needs Tommy John surgery, and he might need, he's gonna try to get a second opinion. But I do feel bad for the kid.
I mean, it sucks. Absolutely sucks.
And how about this? Continuing to be historic, Joe. 15 rushing touchdowns, right?
Yep.
Who was the other guy doing? I think it was Cam Newton. Everybody just
Your
kind of
favorite of all time.
Yeah, everybody just kind of just drooled all over Cam. And they still have one game to play, and so he already beat him, so he could actually tally up a couple more if he wanted to on that. But Joe, I want to jump outside the Eagles for a second, because we'll have more to talk, because we have a whole other week to talk about it. But some things came down. As we know, the GOAT has retired again.
He did.
Do you think this is permanent, Joe?
I do.
I do too.
I do think it is this time, because number one, can't come back for a second time, right? Or I guess is this considered second or third?
He never really retired before, right?
Nah.
So this would be second.
Well,
He had an official letter last year.
Well, he played, retired. If he's coming back, it would be, I consider, his third
He
time.
never really
right?
retired, though. He never said I retired except for last year.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. I just can't see him playing. Like, I honestly did think that he was going to leave the Bucks. I thought he was either going
I
to
saw
go.
San Fran. I thought
You
after
said
everything,
San Fran. I said Vegas.
I thought after, especially now
Yeah.
what happened with Brock Purdy and not knowing what's going on with Lance and now Jimmy G, then I'm like, oh my God, it's just the NFL literally is writing this out.
It's really remarkable.
If you're watching the Sixers, you can mute that and listen along with us and talk along with us. Right now, the Sixers are 85-83 over the Magic. Magic continues to give them fits. They're about a little bit less than 10 minutes in the fourth quarter at this point.
I do want to say one thing about the NFC Championship game and the after stuff. And, you see all the, Terry Bradshaw with the mic down on the field. And it's like just this little square box, that looks so small on the field, especially from where you and I were in the end zone. We were,
Opposite end zone.
Opposite end zone, but coincidentally sitting in sections right next to each other.
Yeah.
In the end zone. I thought it was a little lackluster. Like, I'm sitting there, I'm saying to my wife, I'm like, I'm running on the field. Like, I'm waiting for a mad rush.
I have
and then
a
it's
theory
like
about
nothing.
that.
Like I understand people like rush out to the street, or they're rushing around the stadium to get in front of like where the stage is and all that. But I just thought it was going to be more.
So here's my theory. Number one, the people you see on the street were not in the game.
True.
They were just people in bars and local areas who ran out to Broad Street. Nobody walked all the way down Broad Street or anything like that. That's number one. Number two, all the weird BS that happened, from the kick that hit the wire that nobody could prove, and the chains breaking for 2 weeks in a row.
Right.
I think by now a second set of chains should be bought. Just throwing it out there. I think the Eagles can afford it. Use one of that Super Bowl bonuses to see if you guys can do something with that.
Yeah.
I mean, one of those tickets that somebody paid thousands of dollars to go to. Use that money to buy a nice new set of chains, maybe some titanium one, but whatever. I think because of all that, time was of the essence, and that's
Yeah.
why it was rushed. Because it seemed like, from what I was seeing, like I'm watching it on the screen, because like you said, we're kind of at the other end.
Yeah.
I was kind of turning around, looking up at the screen behind us, and they like, all right, they talked. They didn't have to. Here's Mr. Laurie. Here's Nick. Here's Jalen, and it seemed like they were gonna let Kelsey talk, and Hassan, but then they cut him off. Sing flag goes fly. Let's get out of here. Like
Right.
that's what
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
kind of
I
felt
mean,
like.
that was cool, but I just for what maybe it's because I built it up so much in my head. Like I thought like it was fantastic. The experience was awesome. It's something I'll never forget. It was worth every single penny that I spent on those tickets. I just thought it was going to be a bigger I don't want to say bigger celebration because it was huge. It was the passage, the right to go to the NFL Super Bowl number 57. I just thought it was going to be I don't know, people handing out champagne and this I don't like. Maybe I just built it up too much in my head.
Let me ask you a question. Here's the kind of the downfall with the NFL, is that I mean, for
It
us
looks
at least,
bigger on TV. I'll say that.
yeah, for 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 us especially, because the odds of us having a Super Bowl hosted in Philadelphia is going to be slim to none ever
Oh,
at
of
this point.
course.
Um,
Weather and no doom.
so we think back to 2008 when the Phillies won, and
Right.
it was just mass hysteria at that
Right.
point. I think that's what you were looking for.
Yeah.
But it wasn't the Super Bowl. It was just it would be like them beating the Padres this year. You got people celebrating, and the other thing is you don't see like in Major League Baseball every time they moved up into to the next level, there was a champagne celebration.
That is okay. That could be what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, they don't
Absolutely.
do that as much. I mean, you saw Jalen Hurts smoking a cigar.
Yeah.
By
That
the
was
way, hold on.
awesome.
The
That dude's got drip.
Yeah, so the telecast of the Bengals Cincinnati game at the end.
Mhm.
Did anybody else catch the shade completely thrown? I mean,
I
I'm
did.
sure. Number one is Patrick Mahomes said, "I don't have any cigars, but I might just go."
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
so he's kind of taking a shot at Joe Burrow.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then Travis Kelsey says, "Tell the Cincinnati mayor to shut his mouth and stay." He was
Loved it.
like, "Yeah,
Absolutely loved
that
it.
was great. I love the
Oh my
smack talk.
god.
I love it." I'm not gonna get into the Tony Romo thing. That's a whole different.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a whole different ball game.
Dude, my wife was like, she was like shocked that I wanted to go home, like, and not go like out and like party. I was like, first off, I didn't want to get too blitzed. like I had my fill for the day. Like
Yeah.
I knew I did. And then but the other part of me was like, I want to go home and watch the second half of the Chiefs game to find out who
Yeah.
we're playing.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. Like that's what we did. She went out. She went out to the bar.
Mhm.
I ordered food and I stayed home and I watched.
Oh,
the
she
rest
went
of the
out
game.
after I
Oh
dropped
yeah.
you off.
Oh yeah. She
Good for
yeah,
her.
She walked
Good for
down.
her.
She walked down to the. Well, they're not a sponsor of us, so I won't say who it was.
Yeah.
But yeah, like a friend of hers was out. She's like, "Come out for a drink," and we're still on cloud nine.
Sure.
But I was like, kids are in bed. I'm gonna be sitting there by myself anyway. You go have fun. I'm gonna enjoy
Yeah.
my time.
That's kind of what happened. My wife was exhausted. She had a couple beverages.
Yeah.
And
Sure.
she felt pretty good, so she was ready to go. She tried watching the game in bed, but zonked out. The kids were in bed. I'm just sitting there. We were kind of conversing back and forth in our text messages.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I felt like I was all business. Like, all right, I'm going to be playing.
Right.
Who am I playing next? Like, I'm like wringing my hands. Like, who is next for me? Who is not playing in this game? Like,
Right.
But like that's how I felt like it. Like it was. But so we talked about the storyline upon storyline here. So the one thing is the Kelsey brothers.
It's amazing.
The Kelsey brothers won. Like Joe, hypothetical, all right? I
Mhm.
mean, we talked about this. Like, this is a tough scenario to be in. You're Mr. Kelsey,
Right.
all right? And you're sitting there and you're like, who do you root for and why? I have a theory, and I'll tell you mine, but I'll let you go first.
Well, Travis Kelsey actually said something pretty funny in like the post game presser. He was like, "Mama Kelsey can't lose,"
Yeah,
which is true.
yeah.
But Jason kind of said today, he was like, "Well, yeah, she can win and lose. Like one of
Yeah.
her sons is still."
Well, we
losing.
talked about this with the Nola brothers
Right,
when they
yeah,
were
yeah.
playing in the NLCS together.
I mean, listen, they both have won Super Bowls.
Okay, part of my theory, but keep going.
So I think you just wish for a good game, I guess.
Here's my thing, and this is not me being a homer. I'm saying you wish for Jason, and I'll tell you why. He's older. He's probably going to retire.
That's fair. That's a good
Travis is playing with Patrick Mahomes. They're probably going to be back in the Super Bowl at least once in the next 3 to 4 years.
point. Next year. I think this is what 4 or 5
Yeah.
NFC, 4 or 5 trips in a row.
Yes. They're
Maybe
four,
not in a row, but
they've been in the AFC Championship 4 out of 5 times in the last 3 years,
Okay.
and they won 2 or something out of that.
Oh yeah, they weren't in it last year.
Yeah. But my point is, there's a good chance Travis will be back and chance to win a second one.
Yeah.
This is most
That's a
likely
great point.
Jason's last one. They both have one, like you said. So, like at this point, like you don't have to worry about like, oh, I'm never in a Super Bowl, and you did. Like you don't have to worry about like I don't think they'd be like that, but like that hold up. But it's like the one they get to hold over. It's the bragging rights. Like,
Oh, oh my God,
I'm the one that beat you,
And the
baby.
fact that they have a weekly podcast,
Mhm.
like after the game, they have to go right back.
Did they
to that.
say on their podcast that they're doing one next week?
Oh yeah,
Oh,
oh
God.
yeah.
I thought maybe they'd just be too busy with all the pre.
No, they said that they were doing one next week.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting. But that's my theory. If I'm the Mr. Kelsey, I'm sitting there going, I guess I'm gonna want like I would lean toward wanting having Jason win just because I know this is probably his last hurrah, and I know Travis has a high chance of being back in it.
Well, funny enough, is they were talking about like their guest list, and Jason was saying like, "Our mom and dad sitting on your side, blah blah blah. Like, who are you going to have over there?" He said, "It's okay, they can sit there because I'm gonna have my wife and kids and everything on my side." And apparently, Jason's wife is like about to pop, like pregnant. So
Oh, really?
they're bringing their doctor with them.
Oh,
The
really?
doctor is going to the Super Bowl with them, and they were jokingly
Can you
saying,
imagine?
they were jokingly saying like, if she ends up having the baby in Arizona, it's truly going to be like the Kelsey Bowl.
Oh, wow. I did not know she was that prego.
Yeah,
Can you imagine being like,
obstetrician, I want to say.
yeah, obstetrician. I could imagine being a doctor and be like, listen, you got to come with us to the Super Bowl. We'll pay the whole way through,
Yeah.
but you got to come because she may be. Like, could you imagine?
Do you think the lead up, and I'll take the Kelsey stuff out of it. Do
Sure.
you think everything else, the lead up, do you think that like this might be the most hyped Super Bowl of all time? And let me just say, I'm not even talking about Andy. I mean, of course, the Andy versus the Eagles thing is huge as well. But it's the first time two African American quarterbacks
Yeah.
have played against each other in the Super Bowl, and they're both the youngest quarterbacks to ever face off against each other in the Super Bowl.
There's more of that storyline. Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
To answer your question, I would say if it's not the most hype, it's close to it. Because let's say, think about the last couple of years. I mean, you had last year the Bengals and the Rams. Story is okay. Had its moments. Young up and becoming Joe Burrows.
Yeah.
You get Bradford. Finally gets his. Not Bradford. Stafford finally gets his chance to go to the Super Bowl. Playing on their
First year
team.
with the Rams as well.
Yeah. So I mean, there's
That's
that.
something.
But I mean, other than that,
That Super Bowl, the storyline was the Dr. Dre Eminem halftime show.
Yeah.
I think that there was more eyes on that than the actual game.
sure. And the game was kind of boring.
The game sucked.
Yeah. You go back to the first time the Rams were in it. Before that, not the first time, but the last time the Rams were in it, that was a boring game. And every other time when Tom Brady's in it, it's all about is Tom Brady gonna have a number 27 Super Bowl ring?
Right.
Like he's gonna have more Super Bowls than fingers to put rings on. Like that's like it's always the same thing. So yeah, Joe. I mean, between the first time two black quarterbacks go up against each other, the two youngest quarterbacks go up against each other. I mean, Jalen Hurts but has put himself in the top 5 QB
Yeah.
conversation. Now that Tom Brady has left, that number it pops him up a notch.
One thing that we didn't even know about until it popped up over the past couple of days was Nick Sirianni was fired by Andy Reid when Andy Reid got the job in Kansas City.
He was on the staff before he got there, and he fired the
Yeah.
staff.
I mean, it's unbelievable everything that is going on here.
How about the fact that both of Carson Wentz's
Yes.
backups led the Eagles to the Super Bowl in 5 years?
You came up with that the other day, and I was like, that is genius.
Dude, you know what happened? I was sitting there, I was looking at some of my old notes, and I'm looking at something, and I was looking back at a story you wrote actually, then I followed up on after the draft. Because remember, we were pounding our chest about Jalen Hurts. Oh my
Oh,
God,
yeah. Oh.
what a moron!
Yeah.
Again, I think that was still more luck than moron. I don't think he even this was he couldn't fathom this
Oh,
happening.
of course.
But I'm like, wait a minute, that's right. He was brought in to be because Nick Foles is gone. They needed a good backup, and that's why they brought him in. Damn. Little salt on the wounds on that one.
Like Carson Wentz has to be looking at this like,
come on,
like
man.
WTF. Like he doesn't even have a team, a home right now. And here the
Is he
Eagles
done?
are.
Yeah, because it was only 1 year with them, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does he
I-
play next year?
I don't know, XFL arena.
Oh, did you hear? Yeah.
Something.
By the way, did you see? I sent that to you in a text
Yeah.
message today. Arena football's come back. Does that mean the Philadelphia Soul?
I think they got it.
That'd be amazing.
I mean, they're. I don't think
Will
they
Bon
won
Jovi
the
be
Arena
living on a
Bowl.
prayer?
They were in the Arena Bowl. For
the
the
last
season.
one they lost to Albany,
Right.
and both teams.
I don't even remember because you and I worked
Yeah.
a bunch of the games.
Yeah. Well, we went to the the championship game that
Yeah.
got him there.
Yeah.
And we learned that Jaws owned both teams.
Yeah, that's right.
He owned both
That's
teams,
right.
so it
You
was
know,
fun. Or they had ownership.
I often forget that I met Jaws that day. And I got to like shake his hand, say hello. I saw the real Eagles Super Bowl ring,
Yeah.
actually being worn by somebody, like a real deal thing.
Yep.
I often forget that I met him.
But let's talk about the Andy Reid portion of the situation. Where do you lie on this part? Like, how do you feel about it? Like, do you like?
I'm an Eagles fan, so I want the Eagles.
No. I know you want the Eagles to win. That's obvious. I'm saying, like, does it add anything or subtract anything for you from it?
I think it's very cool.
Okay.
Andy Reid was here for what, 18 years or so. I mean, he took the Eagles to 4 NFC championships in a row from it was either 01 or 02 to 04, and then back in 08. I mean, he is the best coach the Eagles have ever had. I love Andy Reid. I loved him when he went to Kansas City. When it was Kansas City and the Eagles were not involved, I was rooting for Andy Reid, and I would still continue to root for Andy Reid to be successful. Not this year, of course. I do think that it puts a little bit of a stamp on it. It's like come full circle. It's the successor meeting the understudy, like and all that. In a way, I'm saying that not even knowing that Sirianni was his understudy for a day or so.
Yeah.
When Andy first got to KC. But I do think that I think it's awesome, really, because I think we've all kind of thought and wanted this to happen in a way over the years. We've always thought like, all right, Andy's in the AFC. What if? The what if was always there. And now it's here and it's reality. And I think it's one of the coolest things that we as Eagles fans who that run in the 2000s, that was us in our
Our prime.
adolescent, in our prime, going to the games, going out with friends, doing it up every single game. And now here we are as adults with our own wives and families. And here Andy is still in the thick of things. And now here it is going up against our Eagles. It's awesome to me.
So here's my thing is I always felt like even when they hired Doug Peterson, like they were always trying to reproduce the Andy Reid, which I
100%.
get. It was the most successful era in Eagles football, like you said. And I will always appreciate what Andy did. But I think this statement kind of finally puts him in the past. Because you now have two coaches, one off his coaching tree.
Sure.
If you want to technically kick Sirianni, since if you work with him for a day, maybe two who will do something both in their second year.
Yeah.
That he couldn't do in 13 years?
Something like
that he was here.
Was it 2000 to 03 or something?
Yeah, something like that. So,
what did I say? 18 years? Yeah, it wasn't that.
Well, I mean, the man's been. I mean, think about it. He's been. It's well over a decade since he's been in.
Oh yeah.
Actually,
probably just a decade.
I think he was in the Eagles just a little longer. So, I mean, it's only about 2 or 3 years different that he was with the Chiefs as he's been with the Eagles.
Right.
So I'm actually looking at this like I don't want to bury that. Kind of like that ex-girlfriend. I'm getting my closure.
This will be Andy Reid finally getting the Eagles their Super Bowl.
Yeah. There you go. That's a good way to look at it. I want to talk a little outside of the Eagles where because there's some news that dropped. Like we said, we talked about Tom Brady.
Sure.
There's been some coaching changes. So obviously Gannon is sticking around. D'Amico Ryans, former Eagle, helping out the Eagles, keeping Gannon under here with us. He got the job with Houston, which seemed like if that was going to be anywhere.
You kind of feel like that's still like a little bit of a kick in the cojones because, I mean, we've been talking about this. D'Amico Ryans, his defense, it's soft. It's softer than Jonathan Gannon's. D'Amico and Jonathan Gannon were up for the same position. Jonathan Gannon's defense beat the piss out of the 49ers, and the 49ers defense did nothing to the Eagles. How does D'Amico Ryans get the job over Jonathan Gannon?
I think the one thing that hurt him was winning because he can't take the job now. And a lot of these teams want to start now. They want to build now.
Well, that's fair.
And I think that's really I think here's the thing is, I think D'Amico Ryans had the upper hand for a couple things. He was the sexy hire this year. Everybody wanted. Number two, I think being a former player helps you out a lot.
Well, not only a former player, but
former,
drafted by the Texans.
Yeah, technically a former Texan.
That's where it leans for me.
Yeah, I think it was. I think that does play, but I think being a former player because I think these teams connect with guys who can talk about it, who can speak speak the language, to walk the walk, talk the talk, the whole 9 yards. But so he's going. Frank Reich is now
Yeah.
with the Panthers. He's the head coach there. He grabbed Deuce Staley from the Lions and brought him. So they haven't
What
really
is
said
the
what he's going to
position?
do.
Like, is he going in as the OC?
It didn't. They haven't said yet, but I would imagine if he's leaving there, that has to be an
Right.
OC.
It has to be a promotion.
It
in
has
some
to be
way,
going
yeah.
up. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's going. But the
In
one
fact,
that
I don't even think that you can accept another job if it's just a lateral move. I think there has to be a promotion in play.
yeah, and he had that same moniker he had here. He
Yeah.
was assistant head coach and the running backs coach. So they definitely had to move him up to OC, unless his contract was up. I don't even know how long. I would imagine it
That's a
wasn't.
point.
But so he's joining Frank Reich again. So that might make the Panthers a pretty tough team. I don't know right
Sure.
away, but they have to get a quarterback first. But Sean Payton, let's talk about this for a second. Sean Payton's going to the Broncos. They're giving was a first round and they're swapping third round, something like
I
that.
think it's a first round. Here's one of my things is, how does Denver still have first round picks?
They must have given away first round picks down the line.
No, 20.
They must have got. Oh, hold on. I think this wasn't theirs.
2023 and a 2024 first.
I don't think this was their originally theirs.
Oh, well, wouldn't they have to have given that up to Seattle for
Well,
Russ?
maybe they traded it. Maybe they got it in a trade. They got it back. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I don't know.
Hold on. I'll tell you right now. I'm going to try to get the exact.
Yeah, when I read it, read the comments,
he will be making between 17 and 20 million a year. They're saying.
Oh my God.
Let me see.
I think it's kind of dumb that you're allowed to trade draft picks for.
How about Chucky boy?
I know.
I don't think it's
not
dumb.
to say that it's right.
I don't think it's dumb. But what I'm going to tell you is dumb that you gave up a first round draft pick for a coach.
Right.
I don't understand that.
I don't understand it either.
I mean, I would have thought maybe a late second at the best.
Yeah.
But I was thinking more third and fifth.
Yeah,
third
I
and fourth.
think it's two first round picks in consecutive years for Sean Payton and a third round pick. Something along those lines. But again, I don't know. I don't understand how they have first round picks. Didn't they just give 5 first round picks to Seattle?
So they're surrendering their first round pick, number 29 overall, plus a second round pick in 2024 to the Saints in exchange for Payton and the New Orleans.
Where did they get?
Third round,
if
2024.
If they have pick number 24, it has to be somebody else's. It's like they didn't make the playoffs. Like they're not in.
Yeah.
They're not in that grouping in the 20s for their. It has to be from somebody else. But who the hell would Denver have traded? Oh, Chubb to Miami. That's probably what it was.
Okay.
Bradley Chubb.
I was going to pull up the.
If I have the name right,
Because Tankathon.
that's probably what it was.
Tankathon will tell me.
If anybody out there,
So it
listening,
was they San Francisco. They're saying that New Orleans has it now. That was the 30th overall pick. So that must have been whatever that must have been Denver's originally.
I don't know what's going on.
They might, yeah. So they got that from San Francisco.
For who?
They must have been doing a trade. Who did San Fran trade? The big trade San Fran made was with McCaffrey with Carolina.
Right.
Did they trade for somebody else from Miami?
I don't think so.
Well, whatever it is.
Yeah. What?
They're getting the. It says number 29, but it says 30 on here because San Francisco lost to us, and I guess Cincinnati had. Yeah, they were 13-4, and Cincinnati was 12-4.
Okay.
So it came from that trade originally. So it was originally San Francisco's. They had Miami's, or they had Denver's, I guess, and then Denver. I don't know how it works, but it wasn't theirs to begin with. They got that in a trade.
Okay.
So I mean, they needed it because their number 10 is sitting pretty with Philadelphia Eagles right now.
Of course, but with a team that how do you give up that first round pick for 2 consecutive years when your team
Houston got Chubb. Houston was Miami. I mean, because Houston has the 10, the 2, and the 12. They have 10 picks between theirs.
What the hell's Houston got to do with it?
And Miami forfeited theirs.
Right.
Miami forfeited theirs.
That's why the Eagles will have the 31st pick and not the 32nd.
Yes. Even though it still has them as 32, it says 21 forfeited.
Right. Yeah.
But I mean, that's I'm not exactly sure how that boils down, but I'll have to look that a little deeper. But trading a first overall pick for any coach, does that make sense to you? Like,
I don't think
have
so.
you ever said a team's one good coach away?
No, and their defense was ass, and you would think that they would need to build up their defense again.
My theory I'm all about theories tonight, apparently.
Okay.
Is that they dug a hole with, you know, let Russ cook. I think
He is cooked.
I think Russ is cooked.
That's exactly the problem.
Um, that and it looks like the Sixers have won 105 to
Yes,
94,
sir.
and they're just letting the clock wind down at this point. So they got back at the Magic for that one, but I think they've dug such a hole. They put so much stock into him. They had to figure a way of getting somebody who could give him a resurgence.
Mhm.
And a guy, if you can get the other guys that Sean Payton has gotten, I mean, Drew Brees is one of them, and he was a good quarterback. Don't get me wrong, but
Of course.
Jameson Winston, he got
Yeah.
him to play well. I mean, you even had
It annoys me that Sean Payton is already back in the league because now it just shows further proof that because New Orleans was going into a bit of a rebuild, he wanted no parts of it, and he said, "You know what? I'm retiring." And now, what, a year after that, after making a boatload of money, being an analyst, a broadcast, whatever the hell you want to call yourself, it pisses me off that he's back in the league already.
question to you. I mean, think about this. Like they were very candid when they were talking about when the rumor started swirling that he was in the coaching pool or the new coaching pool.
Well, it's because Russ like reached out to him or something. So,
Well,
like,
I mean, he was on Fox, and they asked
yeah,
him, and I thought he was going to give like, I'll think. I'm not sure. I haven't made a decision. I talked to the family. One of
right.
those things. He's like, no, I want to go to a good organization. It's not just about the players, but the organization. I mean, I guess Broncos it's a whole new organization with them with the Walmart money that they got. But I mean, Russ has upside, I guess, of anybody out there.
Yes, I don't
I mean,
really see it.
Russ has been good in the past, so hopefully he's thinking maybe he can, get him
Yeah.
back to that
Oh, I'm not
caliber.
saying, like, listen, he is a talented guy. If he can put together a little bit of a comeback, like I honestly think that he can. But I mean, he is at the tail end of his career, and yeah, he reached out to Sean Payton, like knowing that he needed help. He needed the work to get back to a Seattle esque type of level of play that he was used to.
And
He
he's
has
somebody who can work
talented
with.
guys around him.
Yeah, he's somebody who work with his offense. I mean,
Sutton, Jerry
he made
Judy,
think about it,
Javante
he made
Williams.
Taysom Hill look good at times. He
Sure.
he made Tyrod Taylor look good at time. Look good. Like I mean, he kept them alive when Drew
Mhm.
Brees was injured. So I mean, if anybody could do it, I mean, I think Sean Payton could do it.
He's a good coach. It's just I don't think it's right that he bailed on a possible rebuild because he didn't like the way things were going. Like, and listen, like
I mean, you
to
have a right
each,
to quit your
right,
job if you don't want to be there.
of course, and that's what I was gonna say. Like, to each their own. Like, if that was his or that was his prerogative, and that's what he decided to do, good, good for you. But I just think it's a little shallow to be like, you know what? All right, now let me go to the next sexy team. With already
Who's willing to
established
pay you almost
quarterback and everything.
$20 million a year?
That's insane.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of things I heard coming out of the Broncos was that it wasn't just Russ was cooked, but Russ was being a d-hole.
Yeah,
Like he had his own office, he had a
right.
scheduled
Yeah,
time to talk. Like, could you imagine like being
I
a
hear he's
lot?
not that great of a guy in general.
Yeah, like could you imagine like being a D line or no lineman? And be like,
Man, did
hey,
we dodge a bullet?
yeah, we really did. I mean,
Dodged absolute
if
bullet.
you go back to the history of the Eagles and say Andy Reid left,
Mhm.
right? There's a lot of bullets that we dodged and that kept us. And if they didn't happen, or bullets actually we didn't dodge that helped us.
Chip Kelly.
I mean, Chip Kelly was the Marcus Mariota one was the big. Could you imagine we'd be stuck? No Fletcher Cox.
Yeah.
Gave up we'd probably just be picking our first round
I
pick
think
again.
I want to say Lane was involved with that, but he was Chip's number 4 pick that year, so I'm probably wrong on that.
Yeah, but I think he would have gave up his own mother to get Marcus.
Oh yeah, it was a boatload that
Yeah.
he tried to give away.
And apparently
Not even offer, just give away.
Andy Reid talked the Titans coach into not trading with him.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that.
Because
Why though?
that what?
Why?
Because he told him they reached out to him and he said, what did he say? That type of quarterback doesn't come out all the time. A franchise quarterback is something that you're not going to get next year or a year after that. You never know, so you take it when you think you have it. And he ultimately made them turn around. So Andy Reid actually helped us with that.
Yeah.
And then
He knows what he's doing. He jumped up to number 10 from Mahomes.
everybody was upset with Carson Wentz making a big stink and leaving town. He didn't. We'd be stuck with him right now.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of things that went way. I mean, we were all. I was one of those people. Are you kidding me? A quarterback in the second round?
Yeah.
Like, if we didn't do that, we wouldn't be here right
Yep.
now. If
I wanted Denzel Mims at that pick.
oh my God, yes. Oh, there was.
I still remember the pick I wanted. It was Denzel Mims.
Yeah, there was so many. Yeah, I remember just going nuts. We were doing that was because it was the pandemic year,
Yeah.
and we were doing it from the
In fact, I
basement.
think AJ Espinoza from Iowa State, Iowa,
Mhm.
was sitting there too. I wanted him or Denzel Mims, and we got Jalen Hurts. I remember, like, listen, everybody's jaw hit the floor when you heard Jalen
Oh, yeah.
Hurts.
Well,
Everybody.
it's just like when people go, "Oh, well, you guys got to eat crow about Howie Roseman." No, no, I don't. At that time, I was 100% right. He was not doing things
Well, you
right.
weren't right because then you wouldn't have gotten this now. So you're not right.
No, I was right at the time that he was doing a terrible, terrible job.
Right, but if you were right wanting him to get fired and he got fired, then wouldn't have this now. So in hindsight, you would still say that you were right for the firing back then?
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay.
I'm a phone flamer. Ask my wife. I'm really good at doing this.
At least you can admit it. Like,
Yeah.
I'll give you
The
that.
king of gaslight right here, Big Al. I'm a gaslighting professional. But no, but I'm just saying, like, that. Yeah, that move now, and once again, they were picking him up as a backup. They were not picking him up as the
Right.
starting franchise quarterback at one point. So that's called dumb luck right there. But like all the picks he was picking, I mean, we can go through them all, but he made some really dumb picks until what happened, Joe? How many times did we sit there and go, pick somebody from the SEC?
Pick championship
You
players.
pick the first thing he did is he picks a Heisman winning wide receiver. Okay, there you go. Pick a guy with a pedigree. You missed a chance last year when you could have got Justin Jefferson. So yeah, of course that makes sense.
But here's the thing. If we get Justin Jefferson, we may not have these other ducks in a row.
If you get
You
Justin
get
Jefferson,
Justin Jefferson, you don't get Devontae Smith.
I'm okay with that.
You kidding me? He's going to the Super. Like, he was a major part of our offense this year. He had
But you're
the
telling-
biggest
all right.
catch in the NFC game last week.
And you don't think Justin Jefferson could make catches like that? You're telling me that if
I
you
do.
if you could have AJ Brown and Justin Jefferson side by side, you wouldn't like that. That'd be terrible.
Who's to say you have Justin Jefferson then that you draft Jalen Hurts? Because you don't know where you're going to be at in the draft order the following year. You could have missed out on Jalen Hurts.
Sure, you could miss out a lot. Listen, you could have farted and a butterfly died, and then the rest of the world, dinosaurs could have came back. I don't know. I can understand the butterfly effect, though. But my point is, looking at what we have now, if you're just saying one for one, Devontae Smith for Justin Jefferson, I'm okay with that.
See, I'm not because we have Devontae Smith and AJ Brown. If you have Justin Jefferson, you may not make that trade for AJ Brown.
You may not. But if you would still just have Justin Jefferson, and that's it. What else would they have had? They would still need one other wide
John
receiver.
Hightower.
Hmm?
John Hightower.
Yeah,
maybe.
right, exactly. You're not just going to have Justin Jefferson.
Quiz Watkins.
So if he could, I think I'm not saying it would have happened, and maybe they would have been. I mean, you could have said the same thing. Well, it's Devontae Smith. Why would you make the AJ Brown trade?
Well, of course.
Yeah. So obviously they knew they needed another wide receiver.
Right. You get Justin Jefferson. There's a chance you don't have Devontae Smith, AJ Brown, or Jalen Hurts.
Or, whatever. I could be wearing a dress. I don't know. Shit happened. But my point is, like, I'm just saying, like, I would be okay if it was one for one switch on that. I'd sleep all right knowing Justin Jefferson is on this team.
It's fair.
I mean, listen, he was amazing having Kirk Cousins throw to him.
Oh, I know.
I mean,
what would he have been as amazing with?
Did you
Carson
see some of the
Wentz?
catches he made? That would have been a catch.
Oh,
Devontae Smith was smart enough to know to
The
get to
one
the line.
catch he had, I forget the game. I think it was against the Colts.
Mhm.
That he had one catch where I think it was better than the OBJ catch. I think it was
Oh, yeah.
possibly the best catch I've ever seen in my life.
Absolutely.
Speaking of best things I've ever seen in my life, the Miles Sanders touchdown where he does this little dance. I found out today it's called the little Uzi or something like that. And then Jason Kelsey runs into the end zone and you see him behind Miles Sanders doing the dance. Greatest thing I've ever seen in my life. Greatest video I've ever seen in my life. Cannot not burst out laughing every time I watch it.
Absolutely. Real quick, guys, like I said, if you're just joining us, the Sixers won tonight, putting them back in the winning column. And I don't know if that moves us up at all, maybe half a game up. But let's see. They didn't update it yet. So
Yeah.
we're 1 game behind the Bucks. So it would probably be a half a game unless they lost tonight if they're playing. But Joe, let's talk a little Sixers for a moment. Apparently, the trade deadline is coming up in the next what? We got 3 weeks.
February 9th.
Is it 9th?
Yeah.
I thought it was like 18th. I don't know why I'm so.
9th.
But trade talks are swirling, and according to sources, that Golden State Warriors and the Sacramento Kings are among NBA teams interested in Matisse Thybulle.
Mm-hmm.
Who on those teams would you be interested in seeing?
From the Kings, I would love to see Davion Mitchell, really good defensive player. He would solidify the bench coming off the bench.
But if you're, I mean,
I've seen.
If you're trading Matisse for a defensive guy, are you trading out another defensive guy?
I don't know why they're kind of dangling them out there for these teams. Like I did read later on in the day today that the Sixers are not going to be making any, or at least they're not looking to make any major trades that would possibly affect their starting five, because we all know Matisse in some matchups he's in the starting five. Now I don't know if that's a smokescreen to get some of the offers up. Of course, the Kings, the Warriors. I've seen possibly the Bulls. But I've actually seen another team that was no, I'm sorry, it was a trade scenario from a year or two ago with Houston. But those 3 teams is what I've seen so far.
Okay.
I don't know what you can get for them. I've seen different scenarios where you can get a couple second-round picks. I don't know how that moves the needle for you when,
It doesn't. Because right now
he was untouchable last year in trades, and before that, like I'm starting to get the feeling that like Rocco,
Yeah.
when a 3D guy, like at one time he was untouchable,
Mm-hmm.
and then a season or 2 went by, and I don't know if it wasn't that he wasn't making the right development, or they just thought like, okay, like maybe it's just time to make a move, make a splash, just do something. Because they've already said it's very unlikely that they're going to get a first-round pick for him. If they get a first-round pick for him, I get it, because they don't have any for like the next 5 years.
I get that at the same time, but I'm not worried about
two second-round picks does not make sense to me.
But not even that. Trading them for any picks right now makes 0 sense to me.
Yeah.
We don't need picks. Think about it, Joe. We have a team who went to the World Series but lost. We have a team going into the Super Bowl and could win, very possibly, which I think they do. That's just not being a homer.
I think they're just going to trade G Leaguers.
But I don't understand how that helps us, because this team will be the full focus come 2 weeks from now.
Yeah.
And we'll be staring at the Sixers team looking for a finals run.
Oh, yeah.
So how does any picks and losing a good defensive player that you need upsetting the bench, where does that help us? I think you need solid players. Maybe I'm thinking a good bench player and maybe a 6-man.
I'm hearing rumors about Andre Drummond. I've seen things about Nerlens Noel. I mean, they're looking for a backup big.
Is that because what's his face is
Montrezl
is not just working out?
I think he shows flashes, but he's not consistent enough. That they need more of a standard big behind Joel Embiid.
But is Andre Drummond worth it for Matisse Thybulle?
No. You're trading away peanuts for Andre Drummond, somebody who wants to get a young guy, a G leaguer, like I said.
Okay.
Like somebody who
Springer.
Jaden Springer could be a guy that gets on the move. I've seen Daniel House Jr.'s name thrown in the mix. But again, this is a guy who gets minutes on the main court. Korkmaz is another name we've seen. I don't see how trading these guys for picks does anything for you.
And
I'll say this: House or Korkmaz isn't worth an Andre Drummond as well. So you're going to be trading, these guys who could have an impact a year, 2, 3 down the road for another team. Like Andre Drummond's on the last leg. You're not giving up anything for him per se.
And just for tonight's stats, looking at it real quick when I went through tonight's game, the Sixers won 105-94 against the Magic. Joel Embiid, again, highest scorer on the team with 28 points. Also had 11 rebounds. James Harden with 10 assists again, and Tobias Harris with 2 blocks tonight.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's good to see.
The entire starting 5 were at the Eagles game the other day.
Yeah, they were.
That's pretty cool to see. You see the difference between Kevin Hart and Joel Embiid?
Oh my gosh,
Unbelievable.
he could like chew on his kneecap standing up.
I know, and like, all right, we know what, it's 7-footer, and Joel just under 7 foot, whatever it is. Like Kevin Hart looks like he's like 3 foot, 3 or 4 foot tall in that picture, and you have to think he's at least 5 something.
Yeah,
Like so,
I say like 5'5",
like
5'6".
and I don't know if it like he jokingly says like, oh, it's all about the angles. Like I'm not like it wasn't really that much of a difference. Like yeah, it was, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was. You are,
I mean,
known
Joe,
to be this short little guy, and
Joe,
then
me and
stand next
you
to
would
Joel
look
Embiid.
tiny, like short people
Oh,
next to him,
absolutely.
and we're fairly taller
Right.
than him. So
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
I mean, yeah, but it's funny here. Like, look at these numbers here. Points in the paint. Orlando won that battle 46-38.
Orlando always plays the Sixers really tough.
Yeah, and then second chance points was 4-18 favoring Orlando.
Wow.
And then but we won the fast break points from the 20-13 angle. But yeah, there's certain teams, Oklahoma,
Mhm.
teams like that. These young teams have a lot of speed.
Yeah.
They just seem to give us fits. I mean, we ultimately end up usually beating them. The fact that they gave up like what was it, a 21-point lead at one point
That's
or a
ugly.
couple of days ago
Yeah, 2 nights ago.
was
Ugly.
ridiculous. But also, let me see here. That's it for tonight's stats. I just wanted to throw that out there for anybody who's just joining us right now, who is possibly watching the game. Joel Embiid playing just. I mean, I know I feel like it's kind of a broken record, but other stats I pulled. So here's in January because tonight was the first day in February.
Sure.
So he averaged 34.9 points a game in January. That is the most in NBA or in Sixers history by month.
Wow.
He averaged 10.7 rebounds a game, which for a guy being the size of him, I guess it's not crazy, but still. And
He's got a lot of guys around him who rebound as well. I mean,
Mhm.
James Harden, his rebound count.
I always give him a lot of credit. Even like last year, man, he was like in the rebound, like he was
Yeah.
there. He has really come on as that facilitator. Like I think he is accepted that role.
Yeah.
Like
Oh,
and same thing with Tobias Harris, accepted the role as the catch and shoot guy. And he's 54.9% for field goal. So I mean, do you have faith that the Philadelphia 76ers make a legitimate run in the playoffs, not a second round bounce out?
I do. I do. There have been instances this season where I've thought to myself, wow, this team is really gelling together. And we have to remember, because we talked about it so many times from prior seasons, just how much the actual starting five was actually on the court with each other,
Mhm.
for X amount of games. Like this is the longest stretch we've seen. And I know Doc is tinkering with some things,
Mhm.
but the overall core of the starting five, this is the most that our starting five has played together in years.
Yeah.
So the fact that they have this rapport with each other, they they work off of each other. They know the style and they work off of each other's style of play. And yes, you like you've said, James Harden, and this is barring health. If everybody stays healthy, yeah, I do see them going pretty far into the playoffs, especially Eastern Conference Finals.
Let me ask you a question. With that being said, do you kind of hope not for a big splash in the trade deadline?
Yeah, I don't see a need for it.
Just because you don't. I mean, mainly for the apple cart situation, you don't want
If
to
you're
upset it.
trading for anybody, it's for bench. You're not gonna get somebody in here and try and tinker with the starting five with an additional player, not somebody who has already been on the roster, and you're just trying different things to see what works against different opponents.
Okay.
Like you're
Uh,
not gonna go out there and get like all right. Thibault to the Warriors. You're not going to get a Jordan Poole. Number one, the Warriors never trade him, but you're not going to go out there looking to get a Jordan Poole to plug into your starting five. Like you're not going to look for that type of move.
a
You're
good
looking for
sixth, seventh guy off the
You're
bench.
looking for depth.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I mean, it would be pretty amazing now. Could you imagine
Oh, it'd be great.
NBA Finals run?
Oh my God, yeah.
I mean, is it a success if they don't win though? Like, do they have to? Joe, is any season for the Sixers at this point unsuccessful if they don't win the championship?
I think getting there is the first step. If they win it, great.
Hmm.
But the fact that they haven't been able to get over that hurdle in the playoffs and get to the third round, the Eastern Conference Finals, I think that is step one. Get there. You get to the finals. It's a successful season in my book. Especially looking at World Series run, Super Bowl run, NBA Finals run. What the hell?
Yeah.
like it'll be the
I don't
best
feel like I
12
deserve
months.
all this.
I know it'll be the best 12 months in Philly sports history,
Joe, just think about it.
regardless of an NBA championship.
Think
or
about
not.
it. In 1 year,
Eagles winning the
if the
Super Bowl.
Phillies do again what they did last year, and
It's the new norm, baby.
if maybe hopefully even better, and win it all in 1 year, you could have 2 Phillies World Series run in 1 calendar year.
Yeah.
You could have the World Series here in plus a Super Bowl plus possibly a Sixers finals run.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty crazy.
And then if the Union go back,
Oh yeah, it's another one. I keep forgetting to add them in.
yeah.
We're
We're 4 more,
hey,
baby.
Hey, wait a minute! Don't forget, the Stars were in the championship
That's
game.
right.
By the way, the Philadelphia Stars in Detroit.
Stupid.
I don't get that.
I
You
don't
couldn't
care,
find a place around here to host them.
Well. I mean, they were all playing in what, Alabama last year?
Yeah, but so there's only the host city only has them and their local, whoever the other
Oh,
team is.
really?
Only 2 teams.
Oh, that's dumb.
Yeah, it's not like everybody's
they're
It's not like
playing-
everybody's in Detroit. It's just 2 teams.
Right, and it's not like the weather is that much of a factor. They start in April.
I think it's just.
Go to Franklin Field.
I think the city just wants the money, and they probably were. It's probably the cheapest deal. You know, it was the lowest bidder type deal.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, that's another one we didn't remember.
Dumb.
Philadelphia Stars were also in the championship game.
Yes.
The Wings made a big trade today, but they look like hot garbage. I posted something on our TikTok from our boy Mike,
Okay.
Muffler Mike, about that trade. I knew nothing about lacrosse, so I'm not going to pretend to sit here and talk about it.
We've worked a handful of games, but we don't pay attention.
Yeah, like that was
we let the pros.
that
do
was us learning how to
we let our guys at
all lacrosse.
yeah.
All lacrosse all the time handles that. Gary, Sean, and Mike do it. They do an amazing job. Those guys talk. Dude, I swear to God, my kid was out there out back playing lacrosse with his buddies, and they talked about it on their show the other night. That's how much they cover lacrosse. They're great. But we have a little bit of time here left, and I want to talk about there's one Phillies move that kind of went under the radar.
Love this move.
And I want you to talk about a little bit. So we have Josh Harrison made a 1-year, $2 million deal as a utility guy.
Yeah.
Who could pretty much play all over the diamond.
Yep.
And he was, for people who don't know, he was actually on the possibility of being on the 60-game 2020 year season, but he didn't make the team that year.
Yeah, he's I mean, we see him in a Pirates uniform. He actually hasn't played for the Pirates since 2018, 2019.
He was playing in Chicago, right?
Well, he's bounced around a bit. He they didn't pick up, and this is my history with him. I've always liked this guy, Josh Harrison. And when they didn't pick up his 2019 option, I wanted the Phillies to sign this guy. He obviously didn't. He's been bounced around. I think the most recent team he was with the Chicago White Sox. He was with the Nationals. He was with the Oakland Athletics. I mean, this is a guy who is a great depth utility guy coming off the bench. He could play infield and outfield. He's got some pop in his bat. He's a little bit older. I believe he's 35 years old. $2 million 1-year deal. You know, like. This is. I don't know if it's
35.
I don't know if it's a prove it year deal or just you.
I mean, he's a 12-year vet. I mean,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, but you had to replace and you're not replacing him with these guys' positions. You had to replace a Nick Maton, a Matt Vierling when he didn't start in the game. You had to replace, a bench guy, and this guy is a vet, and he's gonna play very well when he gets his opportunities. And it doesn't even matter, like you said, he can play anywhere, and you have to think. Bryce is going to be out for a while. You can plug him in the outfield, and there's going to be times where you can plug him. If Reese is a DH, you can plug him at first base. He plays second base, third base. Yeah, this guy, Josh Harrison, is a really good.
Pretty much second,
vet.
third, and the hot corners, or the right and left field are his big areas.
Yeah, this guy's got some pop in his bat. He's going to make some noise.
So here's how I look at it. I was looking at the current roster. I made a couple notes. And I'm looking here. I'm figuring Garrett Stubbs and Sosa blocks, right?
Sure.
Yeah. So that leaves 2 more spots.
Mm-hmm.
So that leaves Harrison, Dalton Guthrie, Cody Clemens, who they just picked up, and Derek Hall.
Mm-hmm.
So 2 of those guys will take the other 2 bench spots most likely.
Yeah.
So
I really thought Hall was going to be up, but I think Harris.
I think they really. I know Dombrowski really liked Cody Clemens.
Yeah.
unless he just falls off. I'm thinking Harrison is probably all but a lock at this point.
Yeah, I think so.
I know they like Dalton and they like Cody, and they thought maybe those two guys could kind of interchange at different times. I mean, unless Derek Hall goes up there and just starts swinging for the fences again, I think he's
Yeah,
odd man out.
I think Derek Hall they're going to put back down into minors because you're going to want him to stay fresh. He's not going to
Yeah,
get
but he's
every
not a
day.
youngster either, too. I mean, was he
Yeah.
26, 27?
Yeah, but you're going to want him to play. You're going to want him to get his.
Oh, I agree
at-bats.
with you.
You know, you got to keep him fresh. You can bring him up, or you could have him up, you know, in the beginning and then send him back down once the roster shrinks a little bit. And then, of course, there's going to be injuries. He's going to be coming back up. Guthrie, I think he's going to be the other one who's going to be, you know, going back and forth between AAA and the majors if needed. Harrison's a lock. Sosa's a
27.
lock. Who else are we talking about? Who else? Who else did you say?
Guthrie.
Right.
Cody Clemens.
Cody Clemens. I think Cody Clemens will probably make it. Probably make the main roster.
So here's my thing, Joe. Derek Hall will be
Cody
28.
Clemens, but Cody Clemens is also a second baseman. If you have Harrison who can plug in at second base at times, Cody Clemens could be sent down to the minors as well.
True. I mean, so Derek's going to Derek, if you want, Derek, will be by middle of the season. He'll be 28 years old.
Okay.
Yeah, I never know. I know he was big, but 6'4".
That is a big boy.
Yeah, 232 pounds. They're saying
he's got a nice stroke too, man.
232 pounds made and 6'4". He better be swinging telephone poles. But you know,
you think Harrison and Hall stay up because they're looking for that pop? Because I could see Cody Clemens and Guthrie being sent down, those two, and Hall and Harrison staying up.
It could because remember they're gonna have one spot because there'll be no Bryce for a while.
Yeah.
So they'll have that open extra one spot that they won't have.
Mm-hmm.
It's when Bryce gets back that will be the telltale sign. And I guess so. Here's my thing: is if you have one extra guy, so I think Guthrie would be out, and Cody Clemens, unless he's having some amazing spring training. I mean, if Derek Hall is going to be 28 years old mid-July or by the end of July, you kind of want to see what he's got at this point, or you trade him away. I mean, at 28 years old, what are you going to do?
Sure, but you're not making that move for a 35-year-old vet and expecting him to go back and forth between the minors and the majors. Like,
no, that's
you're
what I'm saying.
You're looking at Hall, Guthrie, and Clemens, who are still relatively young. Those are going to be the guys who are back and forth. Harrison's a lock.
So I'm saying Stubbs is a lock. Sosa is a lock.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say Harrison's all but a lock because if he just S's the bed.
Stubbs has to be a lock. You need a backup.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. I say Harrison's all but a lock just in case he completely S's the bed. But yeah, I'm pretty sure he's up here. So that leaves you Clemens, Guthrie, Hall. Mm-hmm. That's it, right?
Yeah.
So you could possibly keep two of those guys I just mentioned.
Right.
How old's Guthrie? I think he's younger.
He's pretty young. Yeah. I'll say he's around 24, 25.
Well, yeah, I mean,
but that's not that like all right, we're making a big deal of Hall being 27, 28, whatever it is. Like we've talked about many times, the prime of these guys really isn't even
Guthrie's 27 as well.
Okay. You don't really see the prime of these guys until really like the age 30. Like we're talking about Trey Turner. He's the best according to the MLB Network, or whatever it was you reported on. He is the best shortstop in the league. He's 30 years old.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, longevity is definitely in there. I mean, before 27, like it was pretty much like 26 to 30 was like your prime. I think I think either you could say 26 to 33, or you can even slide back and say 27, 28 to 33 if you want to keep in the same sliding scale.
We have guys signed to contracts to where they're damn near 40 years old. Like, I'm not going to worry about, someone being 27, 28 right now.
No, but I'm just saying, like, if you can't find a spot for him. And then again,
sure.
I guess it also the question is, this is also a 1-year contract for Mr. Rhys Hoskins.
Right.
And if you got to make a final decision. So he's 26, so he's a little younger. And who else do we say? Derek, we already talked about him. So, yeah, I mean, I guess the age won't play too much of a factor into that.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I'm excited, dude. I'm so excited.
I can't wait.
I'm going to spring training this year.
That's right, you are.
I'm very excited about that trip. We won't be at the only thing that sucks is we won't be in the Philly Stadium. We'll be at the Blue Jay Stadium, but it's still going to fly
absolutely.
in March. It's going to be a good time. And there'll be some cool things with the Phillies that will be coming up with us very shortly, hopefully.
How far is the Blue Jays Stadium to Clearwater?
I think if I remember when I said that there's not more than 30 minutes between the furthest stadium to
Okay.
the other stadium.
You can always hit up both.
I might see there is no game
Okay.
when I'm down there because I'm going.
You do a tour or something?
I'm leaving the 6th down there. The game's on the 7th. I think that 8th, and we leave Thursday morning, afternoonish. We have to drive back because it's like a couple hours. It's like an hour and a half, 2 hours to the airport.
Okay.
So then we drive back to the airport and then go home. So I'm only getting to be able to catch one game. So unless there's like, I don't know. It's just there's such an experience. Like my wife never went to, even though her parents have lived in Florida for years,
Mhm.
she's never been to Clearwater for a game. And like I was telling her, like how you can sit on the grass and drink.
Oh yeah.
And so like you can get seats, but you can just sit on the grass and
Oh
hang
yeah.
out.
No, you want to go hang out at
Frenchies and all that stuff. Like that's the one cool thing. But I have a feeling that we may be down there again this year. I'm working on some stuff for all of us here, trying to get something going on. But that is our Phillies, really only Phillies news. And we're not too. Think about it, if the Super Bowl ends, it's pitchers and catchers. What?
16 days as of today, I believe.
Yeah. So and
Maybe
we're
15.
10 days away from the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So only not even a whole week after the Super Bowl.
That's awesome.
We're right in the Phillies time.
That's awesome, man.
And everybody's gonna be so high on it. I guarantee spring training views are gonna be like crazy high compared to like the years before.
Oh my god.
The Flyers right now, there's not much to talk about there. All-Star break. When is the All-Star game actually? I don't even know.
This weekend.
Is it this weekend?
Yeah.
So they are on the All-Star break. So
That's another one where I like the skills competition, but can't care about the game.
Love
Yeah.
hockey skills competition. I think it's because I look at it and like, not that I can do any of the skills that basketball players, baseball players, or football players can do, but if I can imagine myself, it's the least of all of them. Like I can't skate,
Oh no.
and then on top of it, slap a puck 100 miles per
Right.
hour. Like, so I think
I can
that's
fight.
why, huh?
I can fight.
Dude, how about that game against
Yeah.
the Minnesota Wild, man? I was covering that game, and I'm writing my report. Like my article on it was, say if it was 6 paragraphs, 4 of them was on the fights because
Right.
there was 3 fights within 16 seconds on the clock.
That's amazing.
It was like old school, man. I kind of really enjoyed it a little bit. I was kind of surprised because they don't let the fighting happen like they used to.
Right.
But
Yeah, they jump in pretty quickly these days.
but it was good to see. I mean,
that was the refs' entertainment for the game as well.
Yeah, the Flyers are sitting at 500 right now, which doesn't. I don't know.
Like,
Kind of,
GD it. Like
yeah,
just suck.
just suck. I mean, somebody even we were talking about. I was looking at posts from earlier, and they're like, "Oh, the Phillies look really good. The Eagles look really good. The Sixers look really good. Hell, even the Flyers are winning." Or it's like, yeah, it just suck, man. I would think about it. How great would it be? We're talking about we're gonna have a 10th overall pick for the Eagles. How about when we have like a top pick and we can get one of? I mean, I know Bednard is a big name.
Oh,
There's a couple.
is number one.
Yeah, but there's a couple other guys out there that are really good too. Like
Definitely.
so, getting one of those guys could just give us hope for the future.
Totally agree.
All right, guys. Remember, this awesome show is brought to you by PhillySportsTrips.com. Travel like the pros at PhillySportsTrips.com. Sign up because look you wait too long, things get sold out. Clearwater is sold out for them. 2 Clearwater trips, might I add. You can still jump on. I believe you can have a chance. It's not too far from now, and February 11th, which is right before the Super Bowl, so you can actually get this in before the Super Bowl if you want to head up that next Saturday to watch the Sixers take on the Nets and come back and enjoy the Super Bowl the next day. That could be a hell of a fun weekend.
Yeah.
And then of course the Yankees trip early into the Phillies in the Bronx, early into the Phillies season on April 3rd. Kansas City has the draft this year, so you can head out to KC, get a little barbecue, and rub in hopefully a Eagles victory wearing your midnight green.
Great that weekend.
Huh?
The banter is going to be great.
Did they bring David Akers back to really rub it in?
They're going to do something.
Yeah. Philadelphia Union, they're going to be out in Denver at the same time as Phillies, so you can do a double dip there if you're a Union and a Phillies fan. And then London and Leeds, Union will be out there on May 24th to the 30th, so you can hop across the pond there with PhillySportsTrips.com. So check it out. Don't wait.
They're also going to Italy at some
They
point.
have they have it just Italy trips. They've They were working with Gargano.
Yeah, Gargano
So
travel.
yeah, I mean, Vince was, dude. I was at the tailgate this weekend with
Yeah.
Vince. We were right outside the casino at Live Casino. What a blast! The food was again amazing. I don't want to keep saying this, but yeah, amazing.
Yeah.
Jason Avant, hey, he was just happened to stop by. I was hanging out with him for a little bit. That was cool. But guys, if you can't make it out to all these trips, but you want to stay local and go to a game, check out a cool concert because the concert season's coming upon us soon. Now the weather starts getting warmer in the next couple months. Sherry'sTickets.com. Joe uses it. I use it. We all use it. We're not just talking about it. We're using it. Sherry'sTickets.com. Family owned and operated. No hidden fees. The price you see on the screen is a price you'll see when you check out. 10% off using the EOP promo code. And don't forget, if you get yourself a little trouble, maybe personal, get yourself hurt, car accidents happen on time. On the icy roads, it's cold as hell out there right now. So a little moisture on the ground can make it very slippery very quickly. So be careful. And as well as workers' comp, things happen, man. Your world gets turned upside down when you get injured at work. I mean, I deal with this with my other job. So you need a good lawyer you need the best lawyer. And David R. Cherry's your man. CherryInjuryLaw.com, 615-565-0300. And Dolan's Bar, they're going to be getting you ready for the big game next Friday. Pep rally at the bar, 24 East Sellers Avenue in Ridley Park, 4 to 5:30 on the 10th. Former players, including the great Hollis Thomas, will be there. NBC 10 will be there. Autograph giveaways will be there. EOP
I'll be there.
will be there, and so much more. So check it out. Guys, I appreciate you hanging out with us tonight, checking in with us tonight. A lot of new great things going on here. Keep chiming in the EOP. We have a new Instagram account.
Yeah.
What is
yeah.
the handle again?
It is _edge _of _Philly _sports _
Underscore that, guys. Remember.
Well, yeah, we'll be putting the graphics up.
Yeah, I'll be updating the graphics.
Yeah.
That's why I didn't put it up on the screen. But yeah, check it out. If you see it, the other
Just
account,
look up Edge of Philly Sports and you'll find it.
Yeah. Other account got a little compromised, so we just shut it down.
Yeah.
So other than that, I'm Big Al.
And I'm Joey Shear.
And we are out of here.
There's one thing I want you to do for me.
What?
Come here.